All right. Hey, everybody. Um, Today I'm sort of going to go over the things that I've talked about these past couple episodes and draw some conclusions on um, communication, its importance, and, just the role that it plays in our day to day lives. So, one of the main themes, or I guess I'd say one of the main One of the main products of effective communication is the fact that it builds relationships. So, of course, communication is the way that we interact and connect with one another, but communication is really heavily tied to forming trust and maintaining like healthy and balanced relationships. It's one thing to have relationships that they're fine, and you can trust one another, but with effective communication leaves no room for doubt, you know and that's one of the really big takeaways, I'd say, communicate like that you should be getting from communication and what it does for us, because trust is one of the first and overall most important foundations of a relationship. Trust, loyalty stems from open communication, honest communication, and consistent communication. So, this can be applied in both your personal and professional relationships, and it can be applied to different scenarios. But all in all, there's never really a time where communication that is either, I guess, ineffective or just inconsistent or dishonest is the best way to go. Some people, might argue, what if staying silent is the best response to something? That's still nonverbal communication. You're still conveying a message and proving a point through not speaking. Communication does not always have to be words. Not speaking to someone is a clear sign that they don't want to speak to you. When I say if there's a lack of communication, I'm meaning that what is going on in one person's head is not being translated to the other person. Whether that's verbal or not, physical or not, what communication does is it translates the emotions from another person, and it really clearly outlines for the other person what you're feeling and vice versa. With the ideas of forming trust and having like a healthy relationship with someone, communication also improves understanding among people. So when you're sharing ideas and thoughts and feelings, um, you're completely reducing confusion and clearing up any gray area to help people understand you and your perspectives, and so that you can understand their perspectives, right? So it's one thing to just say it, you may convey something. It's another thing to um be understandable or have someone feel understood when they are communicating to you. It's a two-part process when it comes to communication and understanding among two people or multiple, or honestly even with your own self. If you're processing your ideas, thoughts, and feelings, you're going to be able to understand yourself so much better than if you were to not do any of those things. And in turn, this is going to prevent and resolve conflicts, right? So open and honest communication is going to allow issues to be addressed early and misunderstandings to be cleared up before they, grow into something a lot bigger or blow out of proportion because of a lack of communication. So I've said previously that when you are able to, analyze your own emotions and communicate with yourself, you will be able to find patterns, triggers, and prevent, negative communication from affecting you. And for somebody else, you can see if those same signs of behavior or attitude, might shift if they're experiencing the same type of trigger that you would, and they're exhibiting the same type of behavior that you would if that is what was happening to you. Again, these ideas are going to build on top of each other, and with understanding, yourself and other people, you then will understand how to prevent and resolve. And talking about feelings and, listening to others about what's going on with their emotional health will really help you um, be aligned with the people around you and see, other people's objectives and what your objectives are. And, it sort of will create a sense of teamwork and supports collaboration 100%, like good communication will allow for just sharing a bunch of information and considering different options. You're able to make way more informed decisions and choices on how you decide to speak to other people or communicate with other people, because you're going to have a space for everybody to express their needs, emotions, values, and anything like that in a open and almost confident way, because with effective communication and exhibiting that ability in front of others, it helps build the confidence within other people to feel safe and sure in their own opinions and feelings in order to express that to somebody else. It really does promote like emotional well-being, because people will see um, somebody else, being thoughtful and mindful, and they're going to in turn end up feeling seen and heard and valued. And it's something that it creates such a space of comfort and understanding that is so important to have when you're especially in social settings, but also when you have to navigate your own mind. Sometimes people don't like to admit that they're confused about how they feel, or that they're wrong about how they feel, or things like that. But if they see somebody else be able to go through the motions and go through the steps of doing that for themselves, then it really does teach other people how to do that for themselves. It's an admirable trait to have when somebody is so emotionally mature and able to, organize their thoughts and present that clearly to other people. And all in all, it's motivating. So beyond relationships and beyond just dealing with other people and the social aspect of communication, it plays a key role in, learning and decision making and even leadership. Just being able to practice collaborating, either literally with yourself or with other people, will create so much more. Um, it creates a lot more empathy and strength within a community, because there's way more support created by strong communication and effective communication. Communication is the foundation of relationships, and people being able to share their thoughts and emotions and experiences freely is just such an important part of building trust and creating a connection. And, without it, there's always going to be misunderstandings. There's always going to be an increase in conflict and more of a liability to a relationship and its strength. When communication is intentional and respectful, it ultimately will create it. It ultimately becomes a tool for growth, unity, and positivity, either with other people or with yourself.